Greetings, Marsh here, and welcome to episode 54 of my modded Factorio playthrough. In this episode, we're going to use the oil that we mined to fuel some transport drones, and that ought to be interesting. Enjoy! So to build our drone network here, we need to build a couple of things on the bus first. Roads, because we're going to need a whole bunch of it. And also some transport drones, just so we don't have to manufacture them by hand. The rest of these buildings they're fairly expensive, but easy enough to handcraft, so I don't think we need to make those on the bus. So the road surface, let's just make one machine's worth. It's going to produce quite a bit a second, so that should be okay. Let's just do 2 of those, since that'll be a full yellow belt worth. So we need a yellow belt of bricks and a yellow belt of coal. And let's just manufacture it over here, since we have the bricks. And the coal will come in somewhere around there. So that'll be for the coal. That'll be for the bricks. And we'll probably want a nice large building to put all this into. So we don't know how much of this we're actually going to need. If it's anything like regular bricks, we need a whole bunch of it. So for now, let's do one line and see how that works. Okay, now we need to get coal in here. It's a good thing we saved up that coal from before, because this seems like it's going to consume quite a bit of it. Well, we are not producing nearly enough stone bricks for this. But we'll let that do its thing. And now we need to make the drones themselves. I don't think we're going to need drones that quickly, so one assembly machine will probably be more than enough. So steel, engines, and gear wheels. And this looks like it's a pretty slow machine. So steel can go in through there, then engines and gear wheels there. Let's set this up. Yeah, 18 seconds. Well, we don't need very many of these, but it's going to take a long time to produce what we need initially, so maybe we should have a few of these. Yeah, let's do 4 of them. And we don't need to bust these or anything. But I do want to put them on a belt, just so I don't have 4 separate chests for these. Well, but we could do 4 chests with the circuit network. Let's do the enabled condition. This transport drones is less than 50. Okay, gears and engines are connected. Let's do the steel. Seems good. Let's let that collect and build up our 50. Well, that happened a little faster than I thought it would. That's convenient. I thought it would take a little longer than that. And they stack in units of 10, so they're fairly large. And we've got 1,000 road pieces. Looks like they stack in 100, which is not great. How are we doing with residuals? That is concerning. It's not even that full, and we're almost filled up here. Oh well. It is what it is. So the first step to our transport drone line is we need a fuel depot. Let's see, let's put it right there. And it has this weird recipe to it, but don't worry about that. That's just kind of like the maximum, I guess, of the system. See, it has 0 out of 0 right there. That kind of gives you an idea of how much of the recipe it's actually going to use. So first thing we need to do is hook up the fuel oil. Let's do that. You can see how that is filling up. Basically, it's its own tank. Let's get some lights there. We don't need the power, but lights will be convenient. And then we need to put some drones in here to act as the fuel trucks to deliver the fuel to the various depots. So we're going to put some transport drones in there. Just 10 ought to be fine. And now it says 0 out of 10. And it says 0 because it's not actually using any of the transport drones to deliver fuel. So now let's do a request depot. And it's got 2 connections here. One for fuel or liquid and one for the road. Let's put it right there. And let's make the request iron and copper. Let's insert that. Into the assembly machine. We don't need those. So the way this works is kind of interesting, where all you do is select what resource you want, but it's not really a circuit network in the sense where you say how much. So you look at this recipe and it's like nonsense. Well, the way that it works is you put drones in, and the number of drones that you place inside the depot determines how many resources it's going to try to acquire. You see how it says 0 out of 0? Well, that means that there's 0 drones attached to this task. Or in other words, each drone carries 1 stack of resources. So this is 0 out of 0 stacks of resources. So if we put a drone in there, put a drone in this one, it means they're going to endeavor to get 1 stack of ore. So anytime it has less than 1 stack, now this can hold like, you know, a whole bunch of ore. But if it has less than 200, it'll send a drone out to collect a stack of ore and then come back. And it's saying, alert, no fuel, because the fuel truck needs to come here and deliver fuel first before these are going to work. So we need to get that set up. But before we do that, let's get the plastic set up as well. And to do that, we need a supply depot, and I'm going to build another one just to show how this works. But let's put this in line. Let's put a supply depot here. This functions as a chest right here. So let's just put a stack inserter there. Hook it up as a circuit network and say, we want, let's say, 1,000 plastic bars in here. If so, if we have less, turn on. And since we have less right now, it's going to fill that up with 1,000. So we need to do a bit of a roadway here. Not sure how big we should make the road. Let's make it 4 squares wide for now. And the road needs to pass over this front door of these buildings to work properly. And I can see how we're going to run out of road very quickly. That's hooked up. So when we connect it down here, it's sending out a fuel truck, or 1 fuel truck for each depot. And they will take whatever path they need to take. They seem pretty good about taking the shortest possible path. That's kind of cool how they move faster when they're empty. So now there's fuel in here, but nothing's happening because we don't have a supply of it yet. So just to show how that works, let's put a supply depot here. And let's grab a few stacks of copper or iron, whatever we have more of. Copper. Let's get 5 stacks. So when we put all this copper in here, the copper truck comes, picks it up, brings the copper in, but you see how it pulled 1 away, so the copper truck comes back and then fills it up, and now it's 0 again because it's trying to have enough stacks for the number of trucks attached to it. So it has 1 truck, so it means it needs to have more than 200. And since it does, it's not going to go back and make any more trips. And then now these fuel trucks will supply fuel to any depots as they require it. It doesn't use fuel very quickly, so it doesn't need 1 fuel truck every time a truck goes out, but rather it depends on how far the truck has to go. So we need to have a depot down here to move the iron and copper up there. Let's go this way. Something out of the way. Let's do a supply depot and a second one. Let's do a stack inserter on each side. And do a circuit network. And let's just say the enabled condition is copper is less than 200. Although we probably want a filter inserter for this, because we want it to pick up only copper. And then this one is going to be only iron. So we only have one truck coming by for this stuff, so we only need to have one stack at a time. Now we need to connect it to the other network. Okay, we'll not connect that completely so we can see it work properly. Oh, looks like we just barely have enough. So now when we connect this road, that truck's going out. This one isn't because it's got a full load of copper, but let's get rid of that. It's kind of funny how cute and small the trucks are. Anyway, they come by, pick up their load, and go back. And that's the basic idea of how the transport drones work. They're pretty cool. I really enjoy them. I don't know if I want to go like full transport drone and have them run the entire factory, but at least small scale, they're pretty cool for moving small amounts of resources around and just not having to have belts going all over the place. And I like the idea of having like a super highway of drones just going everywhere. See, and they're going to make 2 trips because the second they bring resources in, it gets slightly consumed, so it has to go back. Well, let's expand this transport drone network and use it for the maximum number of things that we can. Well, we have plastic available, so let's see where we want to place it. It makes kind of sense to put it right here. And to here ought to be close enough, just at the start of the bus. Let's do a request depot. And say we want plastic bars. And how about we use a loader just to make a nice clean belt. And we determine how many plastic bars by how many drones. So let's say 5 drones, which would equal 1,000 plastic bars. We need to find a good place to put the road. Dead center should be okay. Let's clean up the road surface. Probably a good place for the road is somewhere around there. And one nice thing about the roads is that if you think you found a better way of placing them, you can just move things around, disconnect things, and then now you have a new path. It's a lot easier than moving train rails around. Oops, I picked up a drone there. Although I'm not sure where he disappeared to. Maybe it just went back to where it started, rather than in the inventory. Yeah, because that was the last connection that connected it, so it looked like it was doing a delivery of fuel. But a little bit of research is done. Let's keep it up. Okay, now when we connect this, it's sending down a fuel truck. That's going to have a long way to go. It's also cool how they create a little bit of light so you can see them in the dark, especially when it's pitch black like this. So it's coming by to drop off fuel. And now there's 5 trucks that are heading out, because that's how much we put in there. Running a convoy here. It's cool how they come out one at a time, so they're staggered. Okay, the trucks are coming in, picking up their loads of plastic, and heading back. So it might just take some trial and error based on how far away your depots are and how upgraded your trucks are for how many you're actually going to need to keep throughput the way you want it to be. So how are we doing here? Naphtha is almost full. Fuel oil is almost to the point where it's going to be dumped. And mineral oil is getting way up there. But this is a huge buffer, so it won't be a problem even if mineral oil completely fills up until we run out of naphtha and we actually need the plastic for something. It seems like that oil sand goes quite a long ways. I kind of want to take these roads a step further and have them be like a roadway for a vehicle to drive along. A player-controlled vehicle. And since the area already has to be cleared for the trucks, it might just be a good use of time by laying down all of those roadway tiles to light them up and have something we can drive on. Well, another thing I'd like to do is deliver ammo to the wall here, and then we won't need this long belt doing it. And honestly, having the ammo go right here is a convenient place to get connected to the network. And this will be an excellent situation to start producing our cannon ammo as well. You can put that on the same belt. I'll still keep making the copper ammo, because piercing rounds is fairly valuable stuff, at least at this point. Now, cannon shells require coal and shotgun shells are iron and copper. We've already brought coal down here, so it won't be too much more to bring the coal over here so we can make these cannon shells. So let's set this up. Cannon shells, just one factory, and then shotgun shells, 1.5. So let's do a nice clean ratio here, 2 to 3. So 3 shotgun shells go into 2 cannons. So copper and iron go in there, and some coal, and then the output is right there. Actually, now that we have the general shape, kind of move this around and put it in its right spot. Like right there. Ah yes, because it's in range, it wants to use the robots from this truck, which is kind of the disadvantage of using it. Is that if available, it always wants to use its robots. So if you don't want to bother with them, you need to make sure it's out of range of everything you want to do. Let's send the coal here, just to keep the belts nice and straight. I could potentially use transport drones for this little bit, but it's probably more trouble than it's worth. I really want the transport drones for doing stuff that's long distances, not something that's kind of in the central part of the factory like this. And let's see this work in action. Looking good. Since we're here, let's grab a whole bunch of cannons, because we can put those on the wall now. They're a little weird compared to the standard turrets. The standard turrets do a bunch of damage to one target. The cannon basically does AoE damage. It's less damage individually, like if it can't do more damage than the standard gun turret on one target, but if there's a bunch of targets, it'll splash damage them. And that could help. So let's just put it on the wall for some variety. So both ammo types are going to come along up to here. So let's make some supply depots. Make them filter inserters. So that one can pick up the copper magazine. This one will pick up the cannon shell. And we'll create a circuit condition for each. And since this is a fairly low throughput thing, like with copper and iron, let's just say the enabled condition is 200. So if it's less than 200, it will fill it up to that point. And same for copper. Okay, the cannon shells are making it here. We do kind of need to... Well, I guess we could do this if we had long-handed here. So hook that up and it looks like it's working properly. Let's just let that fill up. Drawing it along our neat little road. Then we need to get this set up. 2 request depots. One and 2. One request the copper. Although it might make sense for that one to request copper and this one to be the cannon shells. Actually, no, I had it right the first time. Because we want this to place the ammo on the correct side. So it will mirror the side it's been placed on if we do it like this. Some lights. And then when we put a single drone in here, it will start the process. The first thing happens is it's delivering the fuel. And then when the fuel gets here, the drones will go out and get the ammo and bring it back. So now we need to put these cannon turrets in here somewhere. You can see they have a minimum range. I put these gates in the middle, which isn't particularly convenient for these cannons. But let's put them right there. With an inserter going in. And that'll make a blueprint real quick. So I can copy it a bunch of times. Looks like a fresh delivery of cannon shells arrived. And it will very slowly fill up the belt. It is going to take a while, but this is a low throughput thing, so I'm okay with waiting and letting the wall slowly get seated with ammo. Next thing we need to do is kind of the whole point of getting all these transport drones to begin with before lots of biter distractions was to deliver ammo to this top wall. And it's a little zigzag to go around this area here, but I don't want to drive straight through just to save the drones a little bit of transport time on a low throughput thing, so we can extend the road this way and kind of zigzag our way up and get to the wall there. See, with the lights, it's a little easier to drive on this road because we can kind of see where we're going at night. Okay, our long road is placed. Let's make 2 more requester depots. Let's see, we want the ammo on the bottom of the belt. Which means setting it up like this. And setting this to copper ammo. And that to cannon shells. We put a single drone in each one. Hook it up to road. And now 2 fuel trucks are on the way. They have a very long way to go to get here, but that's kind of the whole point of this road, is that it saves us having a huge belt. And it's not so much that I mind having empty belts, like this one, where there's very little that's on here. Just a little bit of charcoal based on our mineralized water production here. I don't mind empty belts just because they're bringing resources somewhere. Another example is with lime and limestone here. I don't mind having this empty belt very occasionally delivering limestone here. What I do care about is having full belts of processed resources going very long distances. Like, I don't like the idea of iron and copper going forever, or ammo, or plastic, because that's just unnecessary processing. But empty belts, that's a little different. I don't terribly mind having them go a long distance. So now we leave that to its own devices, and eventually it will be good to go. Uh-oh. That spitter is just outside the range of this turret. Like, look at that. He is right there on the edge. And there's no cannon ammo there yet. It looks like these biters are real close to this wall. And it's probably going to be constantly shooting at them. Alright, I can't think anything off the top of my head that we might want to use the transport drones for. I mean, there's lots of things it could use it for, but I think I'm using it for basically the things that I intended on, and it's improve the factory a little bit. And that's all for this episode. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.